Welcome, everybody. Those of you that have just arrived, I'm going to quickly just press mute all just for a moment. We are on gallery.
Phone on silent.
Okay.
How to do it? Give it to me.
I'm going to press mute all. Lisa, I think that might have muted you, so if you can unmute yourself. So again, welcome everybody. So nice that you've all joined this evening. A quick note that's really important. We might be having load shedding at 8 o'clock. So if that happens, a lot of you are going to leave the screen, and most importantly, Lisa's going to be leaving if load shedding happens. And if that happens, please can you schedule in the 2nd of December? Lisa and I will be back in the kitchen. It will be the very last conversations in the kitchen for 2021. Okay, so a hearty welcome. Lisa, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Lisa is an incredibly talented lady that I've known for many years in the creative arts, as a sculptor, as a ceramicist, and as a healer and counselor. And Lisa's story is amazing. You know, what I love about people sharing various skills that they have or modalities is when it really comes from a place of deep authenticity, because they've experienced something in life that has led them to find this modality and it's worked for them. And that's what Lisa's story is. I'm not going to give it away because I really want Lisa to share it. And a hearty welcome. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I've been thinking back to how long we've known each other, and it was definitely as creatives, I guess one of my enduring memories of you is completely, paint splattered after a long day on the sets. And it's just so interesting to be reconnecting, both having, had different and quite difficult journeys, both having gone through having cancer and having in a way come out the other end, through long and circuitous paths to actually want to offer healing into the world through our own journeys. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, because, that's something that I know, and that we both share a similar outlook, that these difficult experiences can really become gold if we're able to work with them skillfully and kindly, and then hopefully be able to share with others what we've learned. So yeah, and that's kind of really very much what happened to me that brought me to this particular modality that I want to share with you tonight, and actually is going to be my work going forward. The COVID pandemic forced me to close the production side of my ceramic studio. Some of you may know that I've spent many years, 25 years, running a ceramics business. And then sort of alongside that, when I was ill, I discovered mindfulness meditation and also Biodanza, two healing forms that I took to like a duck to water. So much so that I trained in both of them. I went to the United States to study with John Kabat-Zinn's crew at the Center for Mindfulness at the University of Massachusetts, and started to teach mindfulness with that as a base. And then also did the Biodanza facilitator training, which was amazing. And until from 2009 till I think 2016, I ran a regular group. And I think, when I look back, because I wanted to take sort of a broad view, when I look back, the experience with cancer brought me to those healing modalities. I started to share them in the world. But then the most important lesson that I'd learned from being ill, which was to self-regulate and go slow with things, I forgot. I just, as kind of time went on and, thank God I was well, I kind of forgot that lesson. And then life sort of has brought me back. And in 2013, this is kind of the start of the journey, my father died very suddenly. It was a very traumatic loss for me. He was very involved in my business, and it triggered a very dark time for me. And one of the things that I did to cope was to really pour myself into my ceramic business and my work. And I was really going for it. And at the same time, I was teaching my Biodanza, and I was taking opportunities to teach mindfulness. And things just had really got out of balance. I was like one of those circus performers with the plates, and all the plates were balanced, but God forbid you should take a misstep, all the plates will come tumbling down. And I think that's in a way what happened. And the physical result of all of this kind of overdoing, not really practicing all the self-regulation tools that I already knew, was that I started to develop chronic pain. And it sort of snuck up on me slowly, but after a few years of first starting with some niggles and then some pains and then tight back and then tight shoulders, and anyway, it sort of mushroomed and snowballed, you could say. And I found myself being unable to resolve this chronic pain. I saw all kinds of practitioners, started off with massage and chiro and body stress release, and everything was wonderful and helpful for a little while, but then everything would sort of seem to go back to the beginning, back to this terrible kind of pain place. I started exploring and understanding pain and understanding how pain works, and this was fantastic for my mind, but I didn't seem to be able to translate it into the bodily space. And I even went so far as to see some doctors, medical doctors, rheumatologists, neurologists. And to be honest, nobody could really name what was going on. And I think this was the first moment of like a real sense of like, I've got to take matters into my own hands here. I can't find the answers outside. And so I started researching and online. Kind of started bookmarking all of the things that I was interested in that had to do with chronic pain and muscle pain. And then one day I looked at all of my bookmarks and I saw that the same body of work was being referenced a number of times. And up popped this term, Clinical Somatics. And I was intrigued, and I went into a website of somebody offering this work. And immediately I had like an absolute, like, resounding yes. This is something I want to explore. I know this has got something here for me. And I began a process. I first started with the YouTube videos, as we do, and then I found a little package which I could download and do myself. And I started to feel tiny little, benefits, little cracks in this pain body that I was so stuck in. And the next move that I made was to make contact with a teacher who worked online, an American woman. Her name is Kristen Jackson, and her business is called Think Somatics. And yeah, so I did one-on-one sessions with her, and I did some workshops with her, all done online, mind you. And we're talking, this is now already 3.5 years ago. So she was one of the few people, now everything's online and we all teach online and anyone can do anything online. But at that time, it was still, not that common. Anyway, she set me up. I got a daily practice together. And when I say daily practice, I mean a series of movements, of which I'm going to describe to you, in a little while, in more detail what these are. But I took about half an hour every day. And it took between 6 to 8 months, I would say. I can't exactly remember. But at a certain point, I suddenly realized, oh my gosh, I feel amazing. I feel amazing. I feel open. I feel free. I feel spacious. I don't have pain anymore. I haven't gone to see anybody, haven't needed to see anybody. I'm able to start dancing again. I'm able to start moving and exercising again. And it was just amazing. So I continued doing this, and I continued doing classes with her and a couple of other teachers. And when lockdown happened last year, suddenly, if I tell you that my ceramics business went from bustling, we had an unbelievable start to the year, to nothing, not an email. We couldn't go and work. Nothing was happening. And it was in that vacuum that I suddenly realized, I'm going to use this opportunity, because I'm usually so busy. How could I even ever find the time? I'm going to use this opportunity to study this work. And I found a school that teaches online, the Somatic Movement Center. And I have now completed 2 modules of this training, and I'm busy with my 3rd one. I've started to see people. I've run one retreat, very successful retreat at the Buddhist Retreat Center earlier this year. And kind of during this time, it was very difficult, but COVID pushed me in this direction that I was already wanting to go in, of like less stress, less responsibility. And I dissolved the business and have just really taken time to rest and recover and learn. And I just feel like an absolute sponge. I just want to know everything that there is to know. I feel like I'm like starting out all again. And this just feels like it's a beautiful direction to head in. And so I'm so grateful that you've given me this opportunity to share, just what I know to be like really valuable work, and also very empowering work. I feel like this is something that almost anybody who has the motivation or the desire can take and apply and find some goodness and healing and well-being with. So I think that's really, let me just think if there's anything else I want to add on a personal, just also to say that, and I think this is also, getting, this is sort of, I'm 51 now, and this kind of, there feels like there's this lovely coming together of the things that I've been interested in. So I also, I have a sense of, well, maybe this somatic movement will connect with my dance practice or meditation practice. And so I'm very excited. It feels like I'm still going to be a creative, but maybe not in the way that I have been for so many years, but to find new and interesting ways to share these skills and to share these passions. So I think that's, I don't know if you want to ask or we want to chat a bit now. I also have a slide presentation. Some of my fans have seen this before, so you'll just have to sit through it again. Maybe you'll give me feedback that I'm getting better at presenting it. But I've basically put together like a little, like a PowerPoint to sort of explain this modality. It's very hard to talk about. It actually really needs to be experienced. And hopefully, if the load shedding doesn't end our session, we'll be able to go through, and I can end with a movement that I'd like to share. But so I don't know, where would you like to head from here?
If there's anybody that wants to ask any questions, but I think we just started off, so I think it'd be so nice to go into the slides. It's such a relevant time to learn skills and modalities that can boost our immune system, especially relevant in a time where there are all sorts of things lurking around. I mean, I think the most important thing is to keep our immune and our mind strong. So I think, Lisa, proceed with the slides, and then people can get sort of a juicy view of how it works.
Okay, fantastic. So here we go. Okay, so can you see?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I'm just going to put that there. All right, you just let me know if it disappears for some reason. Okay, so the word somatics, it's weird. Being a ceramicist and doing ceramics, but you can get a little bit tongue twisted. So when I tell people I'm doing somatics, they don't know what I'm talking about, because it is a bit of a strange word. And unless you kind of operate in these spaces, it's not a familiar word, but I think it's a word we're going to be hearing a lot more of. And the roots of this word are from the Greek word soma, which is the sense of our own living body from within, and this understanding that our bodies are intelligent, sensitive, living organisms. But most importantly, that you are the only one who can truly know your own experience. It's a very subjective way of understanding what it is to be in a body. So it's all about familiarity, knowing who you are on a bodily level, what's going on. So it's learning the language of sensation, the language of feeling, and really learning to tune in to your body. And clinical somatics is, I'm going to share this wonderful quote with you from Thomas Hanna. He's the founder of this work. He says that our body is not an instrument to be used, but it's a whole realm of our experience to explore, to be enriched by, and also to be educated by. So at the heart of this work is not to use our bodies like machines, not to have a kind of a third person perspective of our bodies as we so often can, like, we sort of see it as, is it ready for the beach? Does it, does its bum look big in this? That kind of a whole, like a separation that we might have from our body, but really learning to inhabit it from the inside and to kind of grow and develop through that relationship. And clinical somatics takes its place in the embodiment movement practices in the Western tradition. So I think all of us know about yoga. We might not practice it, but we certainly, have heard yoga, maybe Tai Chi or Qigong. These are Eastern embodiment practices, but there is actually a tradition in the West, and so these might be practitioners and methodologies you've heard about: the Alexander technique, Feldenkrais method, and then Thomas Hanna, who developed clinical somatics. He himself was a Feldenkrais practitioner, so he was coming through that methodology. And essentially, all you need to know is that all of these disciplines foster this deep sense of internal awareness, self-education, and self-empowerment. So for me, what has been, it's something we all know, is that there isn't a separation between the body and the mind, but we operate as if there is. And what I've learned very viscerally through this work is that contraction and tension happen in both your body and your mind, and that they are in feedback with each other. They are responding to each other. So if you are tense in your body, you might start worrying about this and thinking, "Oi, what's wrong? Where's this ache and pain coming from?" And that becomes something, that you are worried about. And that worry can create more tension in your body. And then that becomes something that you further worry about. And so you can get spun up like that. Conversely, you can have a lot that's on your mind that you're very stressed about or anxious about. And your body will respond in kind, getting tighter and tighter in response. And so essentially, these our bodily states and our emotional states can really impact each other. And, let me go back one. Alexander of the Alexander technique, he puts it very bluntly and says everything translates into muscle tension. And I love this picture. This is a knobbly tree that I walked past last year when I was on the garden route. And I've kept this image because it reminds me of a concept called body armoring. And this was Wilhelm Reich, who was actually a student of Freud. It's not a student, he was like a contemporary of Freud. Kind of really, he took the analytic work really into the realm of the body. And he came up with this term, body armory, which basically is this idea that our bodies can be in a perpetual state of readiness to either fight the world, run away from the world, or kind of contract from and hide away from the world. And that this becomes really difficult to undo once it becomes chronic. And, I know this like now so well from my own experience. And so I want to take you now into a little bit of the theory of clinical somatics. And this is Thomas Hanna's kind of where his body of work meets up with the evolutionary stress reflexes. And I'm going to talk through them one by one. But suffice to say that we all respond to stress with these very specific stress reflexes. They are common to all vertebrates, and they are normal and healthy, and that we are constantly having to adapt to our environment. So this capacity to sort of meet life with these stress reflexes is completely normal and healthy, and we want them. However, let's begin with the first one. This is the green light reflex. And as you can see, I'm going to put my mouse there. This involves all of the muscles at the back of the body. So it's an automatic brain reflex that contracts all the muscles at the back of the body. It's known as the call to action or locked and loaded. It's the state of readiness. It's like, open up your emails, go, baby, go. It's like the phone, the WhatsApp. This one needs you, that one needs you. It's this constant state of readiness that they also call like the muscles of responsibility or the doer. And we can get very caught in that. So we, what can develop when this, becomes habitual. You can see over here a picture of me in what is known as the green light reflex posture. So this is ready. You can see me ready to go. My back is arched, my neck is tight, my head is forward, my whole weight is forward over my toes. And that's great if I do have to run somewhere. However, if it becomes chronic and habituated, it's no good. So where it is good is, as I said, in this fight or flight, you want to, in this acute situation, to be able to get moving and have that muscle contraction, which gives you the energy to go. And also, this movement is a developmental movement. You can see here this little baby. Those of you that have children or have had children know that in order to start to crawl and move and look around, we actually need to develop this reflex. So it's healthy and good until it becomes chronic and habituated. So our next one is the red light reflex, and this is the muscles at the front of the body. So remember, this is healthy, it's automatic, we can't help it. And this is the reflex that says, hey, you, when somebody shouts at you or throws something at you, immediately, it's this contraction of the muscles at the front of the body for protection. And you can see here, this is like, you can see me pulled back here, my weight is back, my shoulders are slumped forward. And it's also known as the freeze response. And this is in the animal kingdom. Some of you may have heard of this, that in order to protect themselves, sometimes animals will lie down and pretend that they are dead. And that's known as the freeze response. And so that's that contracting in, just looking as if nothing's going on. And so we can also, get caught up in this. It's great in the short term, but unfortunately, not so healthy in the long term. And the startle response can manifest also when we are anxious or fearful or depressed. You can see that's a very kind of archetypal picture of, this little girl feeling low, depressed, anxious, withdrawn. But then also it can get reinforced by our postural habits. And, these are two images that all of us know, I'm sure, very well, of either being hunched over our computer or over our phone. And so you can see how the body can start to take this shape in many different ways. And now the third one is the orange light reflex. It's also called the trauma reflex, although that becomes a bit of a confusing word these days. It doesn't mean sort of trauma in the way that we are sort of starting to understand it. It more means like what's happening if the body has a trauma. And it's also known as the cringe reflex, and it's the movement that pulls the body out of the way. It's all the muscles on one side of the body. So you can see this is a person cut in half. So this will be, let's say, their right side. So it's all the muscles here. And if you look at the back, it's the muscles at the back of the body and around the bum and inside the leg. And essentially, this is a postural asymmetry results from this reflex. And again, it's really healthy if we twist our ankles. We want to be able, the waist muscles will automatically pull you out of the way off that hurt ankle and protect you. We want that to happen. But again, if it becomes reinforced, if that injury hasn't properly healed, if your body hasn't properly let go of those tensions, then slight little niggles will set in, and then you might find that postural asymmetry really, is hard to let go of, and then starts creating all kinds of problems. So I hope that wasn't too theoretical, but just to give you an idea that we all naturally have these reflexes that help us get going, help protect us, help keep us out of the way of danger. But, in our modern lives, with the kinds of ongoing stresses that we're experiencing, the challenging times that we live in, we are subject to these reflexes ongoingly, and then also don't really help ourselves by chronically reinforcing them through our bad habits. So essentially, contracted, tightened, tense, painful muscles can't actually be sensed by the brain and the central nervous system. And this is the experience that I had, and maybe you've had as well, of you have pain, you go and somebody, works on a part of you, or, maybe you'll take some pain medication, but eventually the pain will return. And the theory behind this work is that there's a lack of communication that's been set up between your brain, which actually controls your muscles, your nervous system, which controls your muscle tension. There's what's known as sensory motor amnesia. And these are these little images from Thomas Hanna's book. And essentially what sensory motor amnesia is this forgetting that happens. The body forgets how to be natural and free and open and spacious, which is fundamentally how we were all designed to be. We are designed to hold a tiny little bit of muscle tension and contraction, which is, ready to rock and roll, but actually it should be minor. But when we lose touch, this contraction sets in, and no matter how we try, maybe we stretch, and we stretch and we stretch, and for a few hours or for a few days, it feels like things, have improved, and then maybe there's a sense of actually ultimately there's this ongoing niggling. So the good news and the bad news, as you may have heard of this term neuroplasticity, is that our brain is this incredible organ of learning, both for the good of things, or the lights going out.
My neighbors look like their lights are out, but mine are on.
Mine are on too.
Oh, that's so great.
Let's see how we go.
Yes.
So essentially, neuroplasticity is the capacity that our brains have to change in response to experience, which is amazing. And, this is how we learn and develop. But, until quite recently, actually, scientists thought that your brain develops until a certain age, maybe in your early 20s, and then it's all downhill from there. But actually, that's not true at all. We have this capacity for lifelong learning at the level of the brain. So the good news is that any bad habits that you've learned, you really can create new good habits. You might not be able to totally erase the bad habits because there have been neural pathways created, but you have this possibility, if you involve your brain and your nervous system, to create new pathways, new, healthier, more adaptive ways of being. And that's at the heart of this work. It's a little bit, it's like a reminding, it's like a training of the brain to say, hey, remember this. It feels like this now, but remember how it could feel. And just giving your brain lots and lots of little opportunities to experience what it feels like to be at ease, what it feels like to feel open and relaxed, and to have an opportunity to experience what is it like not to have tension. So as I've said, the brain has to be involved in teaching the muscles to let go and to relax and to release, because muscles have no memory of their own. That term muscle memory is a nonsensical term. Muscles are directed by the brain and the nervous system. And our whole, what they call the muscle fascial matrix, whole, like all of our movement is governed by the brain and the nervous system. So if we want real change, if we want lasting change, we really need to operate and to work at the level of the brain. So what is next? Here we go. Let me just go here. I think, I just want to leave you with this before I end the presentation, to say that our nervous systems are designed to respond with physical tension to life. And what happens, though, is that our muscles continue to tell the story over and over again. and that there's the link between this physical tension and emotional stress, as I was mentioning earlier, that there's this kind of feedback loop, and that these states begin to reinforce each other. And what happens is we can become contracted away from life and locked into these tensions and forget this fundamental freedom. And yeah, this capacity to be flexible, supple, attuned is really possible for everyone. So if anyone here is feeling like they've got aches and pains that can't be resolved, that you feel like you're at the end of the rope, there's, I feel, a lot of possibility that the system can offer anyone. So even if it's emotional tension. So for example, even just to rest the mind in an easeful body supports emotional tension. So even on this workshop that I did, there are a lot of people who are struggling more on an emotional level than a physical level, but through doing the gentle movements through their body, they found that their minds were able to soften, relax, and be at ease. And ideally, this is all about being more available for your life, more open to reality, to your relationships. And yeah, what have I got here? Now I'm going to leave this one. Okay, here we go. What are these movements already? Okay, the movements are called pandiculations, and they are natural movements that all vertebrates do. And we most likely, if we have pets, cats and dogs, we see them do this every time they wake up from a nap. It looks like they're stretching, but if we pay very careful attention, we'll see that they are really, exactly. Where's your lovely cat? Maybe he'll jump on the kitchen table and show us. They're not actually stretching. They are tightening. They're contracting their muscles, and then they're stretching out their limbs one by one, slowly, and then off they go. And we are designed as well to be self-sensing and self-regulating in this way. And the mornings when we wake up, some of us have even forgotten to, that we just jump out of bed and get going and get running. But if you slow down and pay attention, this waking up in the morning of what feels like a stretch is actually what's known as a pandiculation, which is that we stiffen and pull our muscles in, and then we yawn and open up and release. And that is your brain's way of saying, hey, body, wake up, it's time to go. And so in clinical somatics work, we do what is known as voluntary self-pandiculation. So we take the wisdom of this natural reflex and we break it down into 3 parts. The first, part 1, is we contract the muscles gently. So we bring awareness to that part of the body, not by actually feeling it. So you contract, and we're going to go through this in a practical way. So don't worry if it doesn't make sense now. And then this tells the brain where to focus. Part 2 is that we come out of that contraction very slowly. And slow is the name of the game with this work. It's very slow. It's very subtle. It's almost imperceptible. You can look at somebody who's doing clinical somatics and not really see much going on at all, but there's actually a lot going on. And we come out of that contraction into a neutral place, a place of relaxation. And this is what allows the muscles to release their excess tension. Moving slowly activates that part of the brain that controls what the resting level of tension is. And so this is how we get back to a healthy place. And then the third part is to really rest, to allow your system to integrate the learning and to soak up the experience. So that's what it is. I'm going to take us through the ultimate shoulder pandiculation. But before I do that, I just actually have to show you one very cute little video. These are all the qualities that you could bring. This sense of mindfulness, the movements are pleasurable, they bring focused attention into the present moment. So it's very linked to, if you want a mindfulness practice and you find it hard to sit down and just, be still, this is a wonderful way to generate a practice. It invites a willingness to explore inside, a curiosity. it does need patience. So if you need to learn patience, wow, this is an amazing modality. Bring compassion for yourself, non-judgment. Yeah, and just learning to be in a relaxed, easy state of awareness, and yeah, to have self-motivation. I see I've got too many slides here. This is just a message from Thomas Hanna, not to yank things, but to go carefully. If we want to undo things, we go slowly and carefully. This is what I want to show you. I want to show you where's my little video? Here we go. Okay, this is how it's done naturally. Oh my gosh, I can just never get enough of seeing that. That's the natural way to pandiculate. However, I'm going to stop sharing now. Now that's all nice. That's well and good, all that theory, and nice to see the pandas doing it. But can we actually do it for ourselves is the question. So yes, we can. So I'm going to take you through what is known as a shoulder pandiculation. So remember, the pandiculation is in 3 steps. We first are going to gently contract the part of the body that we're working with. And if I was doing a one-on-one class with you or a group class, we would always start at the center of the body, and we'd work with those 3 reflexes, the green light, the red light, and the orange light reflexes. But because we're just together and we're all sitting, I'm just going to show you a very specific pandiculation. And this is for the neck muscles, side of the neck, back of the neck, and the shoulders. These are called the trapezius muscles. And very often this is a place where we hold tension. It can feel like quite ropey and heavy and dense here. So we're going to gently see if we can release some tension. So the first way that we're going to start the pandiculation is with the movement, is with the gentle contraction. And so what you're going to slowly do is you're going to gently bring your shoulders up toward your ears. Now, don't make this a painful, like terribly scrunching. It shouldn't be painful. It's just, you should just enough to feel it. There we go. So keeping your attention there. And now very slowly, we're going to do this a few times. We're going to start counting 10. You're going to very slowly drop your shoulders a little bit, like a centimeter at a time, and making sure that you're breathing, keeping your breath steady. Don't hold your breath. Let your shoulders come all the way down. All the way down. And when you come to what is the end of your range, see if you can completely let go. You're dropping all effort. And now, just resting in this place of letting go. What do you notice? There might be tinglings, there might just be an awareness of this part of the body. You might just notice sensations there that you weren't aware of before. Maybe there's a sense of ease. So you just rest. So let's do it again. And this time I'm going to count us down. So you're going to do the gentle contraction. That's part 1. You're choosing to say, hey, brain, we're working here. And now we're going to go 15, 14, increasing the space between your earlobes and your shoulders. Don't hold your breath. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And if there's a little bit more that your shoulders want to travel down, let them, a little bit like the elevator going to the bottom floor. And now just rest your attention here at the back of your neck and your shoulders, and just breathing here. And just sensing what there is to be felt, what there is to be known. And don't worry if you can't pick anything up, or if things feel numb or you feel disconnected. It's absolutely fine. That's what's here, and it may be a signal that to bring a little bit more communication to this part of you. And then let's do it one more time, and I'm going to count you down for 20. So see if you can take 20 counts to take the elevator all the way to the bottom floor. So remember the contraction. It's gentle, but it's enough to feel it. 20, 19, 18, 20, 15. Don't hold your breath. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And just really letting go to complete relaxation, letting any deep breaths, maybe there's some little movements want to arise, maybe you feel like you want to do that mandicular movement which comes automatically. Just let your body open up and express in any way that it wants to, and shake a little. Sometimes it wants to shake. Oh,
Nice.
So there we go. That's the presentation. It's a teeny weeny taste, but you can imagine you can pendiculate all the muscles at the front of the body. So if you're very hunched over and you've got a lot of, like, your back feels heavy and tight, then there are ways to slowly support the kind of opening and releasing of muscle contraction, such that naturally, without having to be forced back all the time, your body will come to a relaxed state. Or, for example, you might have a very sore lower back. That might be the on the go all the time. Or maybe you're hunched forward a little bit and your head comes forward, and then that makes your lower back have to work very hard. So there can sometimes be what's known as co-contractions, that the front and the back of the body are kind of going together, and then maybe an old injury to boot, and then you've got a complex pattern to unwind. But the very good news is it's possible. And I know I sound evangelistic, but I think I am. So that's enough from me. Let's open up to conversation or questions or experiences, anything you want to share, anything you noticed, anything at all.
I'm going to start it off actually, Lise. You know, what I love about this is that, I mean, I don't know if most of you know, but a lot of you know I teach yoga and I practice yoga a lot. And what's become more important for me over the years is actually our everyday movement. And what I love about this is that it really speaks about our everyday movement, because that's how people get injured. You know, it's all very well doing a yoga class, even if you go to one every single day, the hour of movement, that's all good and well, depending on what style you're choosing and your sense of awareness. So those things all matter. But you know, what are we doing for the rest of the day? What are your movements? How are you placing your body for the rest of the day? And those are the movements to pay attention to. And the clinical somatics, and having chatted to you and listened to what it's about, I really love that it speaks about the everyday movements and that awareness from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to sleep. Not just the time you're deciding to either go for a walk outside or maybe roll out your mat. So I do understand sort of the absolute gold that it has, and it's definitely goes slow to activate awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. No, my response to that is for sure that the brain and the nervous system learn very slowly. If you're moving fast, one of my teachers says, if you're moving fast, that's great. Good news, you've moved. But bad news, you haven't moved in a way that's going to teach your nervous system anything new. And so in order to learn, we have to go slow, which of course is a massive challenge for us culturally. I mean, we are conditioned to go fast on every level. So this is in a lot of ways hugely challenging work, because it really demands us to face how busy we are, how much we do, and how quite frankly, out of touch we can actually be with our own bodies, and that we drive it. We have that third person, it's an instrument. It's like I've heard a teacher call it a taxi for our heads. It's like it's only worth dragging our heads around, but actually, so it's yeah, I that slowness, yeah, I just absolutely, it's slow work.
Totally. So I want to open it up to all of you, like just to ask any questions, any comments. It's such a nice time while we have Lisa here. So please feel free to ask away. I'm just looking around at the group, checking in with chats. Tracy, yes.
I will. Just because, Lisa, it was it's so nice to see your name pop up on Elaine's invitation. It's like I messaged her immediately. Is it Lisa the ceramicist? And I think that's the whole, like you were speaking about 2013, and I probably met you 2014, and that's how I know you as Lisa the ceramicist, and I don't know any of these other passions that you have. So that was really, I think it's so nice to see that, that rounded balance. And I just, from knowing your ceramics, I think that kind of mindfulness now makes so much more sense in the kind of work that you produce. But I'm curious to know about, so how your work actually, so now you're practicing, you're a practitioner, and does someone come to you for a session where you do this one-on-one for an hour and then they go off and practice it on their own, or do they come to you like once a week? What's the method?
Yeah, so the method is to, so essentially it's educational. So I'm not a body worker. I'm not manipulating your body. I'm not trained to do that. There is a 3-year training of hands-on clinical somatic work. And that's its own thing. So I'm really trained to teach these movements to other people. And the idea is so that you get empowered to do them on your own. Now, what I generally suggest is that you do need more than one session. You need to sort of learn a few moves, try them out, come back, have feedback, explore, if you're getting stuck anywhere, and then also to build the repertoire. And so, working one-on-one, I would always suggest come for 2 to 4 classes. If you just are interested, 2 classes is great. If you've got something that's bothering you, then 4 classes is a great way to start. And then we'd look at your specific issues. So there's always basic movements that you start and end every class with. One is a body scan, an awareness-based practice, to take a snapshot. How is it right now at the start of the session? And you do that again at the end. And then you will always do those front, back, and side work with those contraction patterns. And then we go from there. So let's say you've got a lot of pain in your hip. Then I would teach you the pendiculations that are to do with all the muscles that are around the hips. Because the thing is that, and not even just around the hips, but that might impact the hips. Because the thing is, even though we might be working in specific places or in specific parts, the understanding is that we are not separate parts. We are one whole living organism. And it's a little bit like if you imagine a tent, and then let's say you pull the tent up from the outside and the whole structure pulls in that direction. That's a little bit like us too. So if you constantly have a chronic tightness, let's say in your hip, everything will get pulled downwards in that direction, and then you might suddenly find you've got a rotator cuff thing, and then you'll go to a physio, and then they'll work there. But actually, maybe, these days I think the physios are definitely getting more and more into this. But I've certainly had that experience of being treated as a part. So there would be a process of understanding how all these parts relate to each other. So so in answer to your question, what I've done, and I've only started this, but I've been working with a few people, is to do these sessions in batches of 4. And then to go away, and also it can be however, it can be every 2 weeks. So really it's like an opportunity for you to learn and go at your own pace, and that, you know, even 1 or 2 might be enough. Not everybody's going to take to this work. You really are, you know, the thing that I'm very clear about is you do need quite a you need to have patience, or want to cultivate patience, and to really want to have agency. Like, you've got to want to have agency. You've got to be at the point where, you know what, I'm tired of outsourcing this. I really am. I'm prepared to do the work myself. And what that means is offering myself a quiet, spacious, still time, 10 to 15 minutes in the day, 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on how long, and to offer yourself these movements, and then to learn and see what is happening, how are things unfolding, how is this niggle of mine, etc. That being said, I have worked with somebody from the first sign up that I had, a friend of mine in Australia who has very severe chronic pain. She said, I know, I don't care that you haven't done your training yet. I want to be your guinea pig from the word go. And she and I have now been working for 1.5 years, and she's had the most unbelievable journey. And she's still someone who has chronic pain, but she has made so many strides. She has accomplished so many things that wouldn't have been possible. And learning about her own body, and having, like, instead of just being one block of pain, to be able to learn to, like, sense where is actually feeling good, where is more freedom possible, when do things contract. And so I think it offers, you know, like, even if you're just like an athlete, or you're a yoga practitioner, and you just are sore and achy, and want something that will just support that practice and nourish you. That's like the one end of the spectrum. And then right through to, as I say, this other end of the spectrum, of which I'm in the middle, by the way. I feel like, not in the middle, I feel like I was that chronic pain person, you know. I really was. And the thing is, if I stop doing this practice, it doesn't take very long for that old neural pathway to kick in. So my brain and my body did learn what chronic pain is. And if I let my practice go for too long, and there's too many stresses, then I can feel myself wind up again. But now I feel like, okay, so clearly you need to do like a longer chunk of practice for the next few days. And then I'll like, okay, I'm self-regulate. So I hope that answers your question. My intention also next year is to run little retreats, because I found it a very nice way to introduce people to it. So like maybe a day retreat where it would be, you know, like those sort of basic sets of movement, 8 movements, and then you could go away. And if there was like something specific you ever wanted to address, then we could do one-on-one work. So yeah, that's my plan. One-on-one. It works over Zoom, which is amazing. I mean, I was the person who, you know, it's like I did it over Zoom, so I know it can work over Zoom or one-on-one. Yeah, so that was a long ramble.
Thank you. That's awesome. Well, I wish you everything of the best with it, Lisa. It's amazing.
So lovely to see you in this space as well. Yeah.
So there was a question from Joan. Joan, do you want to unmute yourself? I know it isn't related to clinical somatics, but Joan did want to know, what is Biodanza? So for her benefit, just a little bit of a background on, so that she can place it.
Perfect. So Biodanza is a form of dance movement that uses our emotions, our connection with music, and our sense of being in a group to explore and to enrich the potentials of being alive, of being a human being. And it's for anybody who's interested in moving or dancing or expressing through dance. It's the most wonderful, incredible modality. It was developed by a Chilean doctor in the 60s, a flower child, I must say. But it's just this incredible, it's just a wonderful way to move, not according to steps. So it's not dancing in the sense of like ballet or Spanish dancing or anything like that. It's quite free and expressive, and it happens in a group. And yeah, it was a very vital part of my healing journey. So and I'm actually, there's a good chance I'm going to facilitate again after a very long break. But part of getting over this chronic pain, which is why I stopped facilitating in the first place, is that I feel like I'd love to dance again. And so, yeah. So, Joni, I can tell you more about that if you want to come and dance sometime.
That sounds great. I wanted to add to that is I feel like, as you speak more about it, and you having chatted or just replied to Tracy with her question, there's such a necessity, especially where we are right now, of really us getting to know our bodies. There's been like a big disconnect. I think we're in a time where, in order for us to get healthy, we've got to connect with our bodies. And this time of disconnecting, either going to a doctor and going, doctor, tell me what my body is doing. I mean, doctors are great and they're good scientists, but we've got to get more involved. A practice like this gets you involved, like you say, with the body as a whole, not separate parts and separating. And I mean, if I speak from my own experience, I mean, I had been doing yoga for years and years prior to getting diagnosed with cancer. But the phenomenal thing about the cancer journey was really going through recognizing, wow, there was a level of detachment. Like one day you have a body part and the next day it can be amputated. And, you can get used to thinking, well, it's always going to be there, until you connect with it and go, hold on, like, value this like your deepest and kindest best friend, because you don't know how long you've got with it. And the thing is also, when you disconnect with how it's feeling, you can't honor where it is. So the practice for me, the more you speak about it, is really getting into honoring and respecting and regarding your body like this is a gift. It's not something to be taken for granted. It needs the nourishment, it needs to be loved and nurtured. And I mean, I'm just loving more and more hearing about the practice that you speak of. It's that we every day are aware of, even the practice you did with us now, just that little bit, if when you draw attention to a body part, like, and that's how you move. Because you see gymnasts or dancers move and they're used to it, they've been doing it since they were kids, and they can go into their movements. How often I've seen gymnasts or dancers do the type of yoga that I teach, which is a very mindful kind of practice as well. But are you aware of what you're doing when you're doing the thing you're doing? So you lift up your shoulders. You can lift up your shoulders, be thinking about a shopping list. Lift up your shoulders, just shoulders, up towards ears, just earlobes, and then slowly dropping it, and the more you did that, it was like, okay, I'm actually doing this thing. I can just stay in this thing that I'm doing. But that sense of space that it gave, just with that like subtle movement that you shared with us. So yeah, I just think the value is tremendous. I think we're in a time where we've got to get connected and curious about our bodies and our health. And that awareness. Yeah.
The point I'd love to pick up on is, aside from the kind of physical benefits and I think emotional benefits, that in terms of, de-stressing, like one of the wonderful things for me, and this is part of my ongoing practice, is what does it mean to self-attune? What does it mean to attune to yourself, to be in good relationship with yourself? And it's practices like these. This is by no means the only one, where we actually learn to come into relationship with ourselves. And as you say, it's about being close in. It's about learning to be close in. Maybe it feels foreign, but just bit by bit and gently and easily learning to just inhabit our skin and to be here. And if there is pain and distress, to learn how to meet that with kindness, with compassion, with care. Because often, it's a weird thing. When our body is in pain, we a lot of resistance can come up. We don't want that. There's like the sense of pushing away, which is natural, right? However, it is what's happening. It's what's arising. And so practices like this that have already taught you how to drop inside, how to move slowly and gently and kindly, are really valuable. And as you say, can show up in every moment of our lives, not just when we're doing our formal practice or when we're on the mat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who else wants to add to this delicious conversation, just to, while we're sitting here in the kitchen? I'm so happy we have lights, the small things. Hey. The level of gratitude just rises. To have water and lights.
Any feedback from the movement that anybody would like to share? Anything at all?
Anyone? Do we have such a shy audience? Come on. I know most of you did it. Yes, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. I just want to tell you it was an amazing experience to go through that movement. And I became so aware of my own body just in those small movements that it really made me conscious and present in that moment. And I feel like they're layers of an onion that are peeling away, because straight afterwards, I'm sure there are different groups of movements that you teach in coordination. As you say, the body is a whole. But I got the sense very specifically that I had released an outer layer of the onion. And then I started becoming very much aware of the next level of tension just underneath that was waiting to be released. So I'm very interested in what you do, and I think it's very helpful and incredible work.
Thank you. And there's a practitioner in the UK, and her website is called Peeling the Onion. That's her for exactly that reason. It makes sense because we have so many layers of our being, of our matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. These muscles that we work with are big external muscles, and there's many, as you sense. You see how intuitively you already knew there's more than just this. There's layers, there's subtlety, and I guess maybe an invitation or a hunger from your body. It's like, oh, maybe I'd like more. Thanks for sharing. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that.
Mm-hmm.
So true. When we did the exercise, I felt myself like, as we dropped and you were counting, I was like, the level of being able to surrender actually goes so much deeper than we think. I almost feel like I sort of see, it's like what we see a glacier above the water, there's an equal amount below that you don't see. And I just felt like it kept on going down and down. I was like, oh, my neck is so long. So, but just it was about, yeah, so it went down, and then I felt this elevation. I was like, oh, can it keep on lifting? And the level of the weightlessness, to experience that weightlessness as you surrender. And then it goes physically, mentally, and emotionally, and energetically. So like you said earlier on, that level of like how spacious you felt, how free, how, gosh, to be comfortable, to sit and be comfortable more often than not, to cultivate that communication and relationship with our body is a gift to be able to share that with someone. So
Elaine?
yes. Hi, Paul. Yes.
I just want to say that as Lisa's mother, who has been present when she has struggled so with pain for many, many years, to honestly say that in the last, I suppose, 2 years, 18 months, she has hardly ever complained. And I promise you, it was something that was part of her. So if that isn't proof that this works for her, I really think that's, really been amazing. Yeah. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
It's
Absolutely.
chilling to be reminded that was like me. Do you know what I mean? Like my identity was also so tied up in that. And I think that's one of the really hard things that happens when you're in pain or in distress, is that because it's so scary or painful or worrying, and our identity and our sense of self gets very kind of caught up in it, and you can really get in a tangle, you know. So I love this work because it's going in at the level of the body, which is actually, you know, it's quite fundamental. It's the most primary thing, you know. So yeah, anyway, thanks for reminding me of that. And that's, I've managed to creep out from underneath. And you know, let go. You know, that sense of being elongated like a giraffe. A lot of people talk about that. You are actually literally lengthening your muscles. That's what's so interesting, is you're resetting the resting tone of your muscles. So actually in that moment, yes, we maybe only did 3 of them, and you know, 5 minutes later after you've spent the evening on the computer, it might feel a little bit like that again. But now you all know a move to do for when you're feeling hunched and scrunched. This is the move. Go into it. So you go into it a little bit further to notice that it's there. That's the contraction, and then go slowly. And the going slowly and the coming to complete relaxation is the most important thing, because that's what indicates to the system it's safe. You can let go. You can relax. Everything is okay.
You-
Lise,
Yes.
I just couldn't believe, I mean, how once we were contracting, how obviously you gently let us down, but how many counts it took to absolutely go down, because it's so quick and easy and normal to just go swoosh, 1, drop.
Yes.
But it was the way you guided us, and it's, you know, to stop to know that it takes that amount of counts to just slow it all down. And it was really,
But we
fascinating.
40. It should be a count of 40.
Okay, but I mean, I don't mean literally 12 counts. I'm saying the action of dropping, you know, because we just wake up and go, drop,
Exactly.
you know, relax. But it's that it was brilliant to just zone into that each drop, you know, to make one aware of each drop.
Exactly. And the slower
That's
and the
it.
more small you can make that release, the more benefit you'll actually get. So what happens with
Right.
us as you know, we think it's the other way around. It's like,
Yes.
you know, fast and hard is better. We go like to the nth degree. It's like more is better. Go to your end range, stretch yourself out completely. And this is the opposite. It's like the contraction part is subtle and small, and then it's the letting go that's long and spacious and
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for that. And you're amazing. Keep going. Beautiful.
Thank you, Elaine.
Yes. You know, you said something, you know, just before while you were chatting to Mart, but it made me realize how little time we give ourselves. I mean, we know this, but sometimes you just need to say it out loud and admit it. So I'm not telling you what you don't know, any of you, but how little time we give ourselves to truly rest. So that, like, going down, like Mart said, like, yes, we take one action, or 1 minute, 1 moment. It's representative of that. Taking your time to go there. And, you know, there's a point in how we've been living. Like, can you keep on still going there to rest? Can you truly give yourself permission to surrender and rest? And to allow yourself to be there. I think it's really sort of noteworthy to just notice, like, how much time are we giving ourselves to really rest? You don't need to wait for 2 weeks at the end of the year for a holiday. Like, we have to do these little rests in the middle of the day all the time.
Very well said.
Who else is on? Who's going to share a little thought or an idea? Who's hiding behind their screen? So nice that there are a lot of new people. So even if you just pop on and put your cameras on, some of you are cooking, just say hello, how's it? Let's see where we are. Or very shy. Let's see. Oh, then 2 people jumped. Okay, so I'm going to, just before we end off, I just want to say to all of you, oh, there we go, Ingrid. Oh, you've got such a lovely face. Hi, Ingrid. Nice to meet you. So just a reminder, please, while I have all of you on here, in 2 weeks' time is our final sort of end of the year closing little party. There will be 6 of us who will come on, past speakers and upcoming speakers, who are just going to say hello, introduce themselves, maybe share a little bit about your year. Please bring a lovely glass of wine if you drink wine, your cup of tea, your friends. It will just be on this. It will be on the 2nd of December. So I'd like a little nice farewell party. All of you that are here, just tune in, even if it's for 10 minutes next week. So if there isn't anybody else that wants to ask any more questions, Jean, thank you, Lisa, fascinating, wonderful. So there are quite a few people that have written in the chat, and I so appreciate that. And Lisa, I just wanted to say to you, such a huge thank you. I've just loved having you here. It is such a powerful and fascinating technique, and you know, the best part of it is you are a real inspiration, because your life journey has brought you here through these trying circumstances, and quite frankly, no amount of textbooks could prove how good a modality is, more than someone who's actually gone through a life experience and come out of it and really got good values. So Lisa, can people get hold of you? Do you want to put your number in the...
I'm going to put my website
in the chat. And then what Lisa's going to do as well is she's going to send me a WhatsApp. Those of you that are on my WhatsApp group, those of you who don't know about my WhatsApp group, my number, I'll put it again in the chat. Please WhatsApp me, and you will get weekly or second every 2 weeks notifications who is on. You can tune on anytime, come as whenever you want to, and stay for as long as you want to, you know, no formalities here.
Thank you. Just to say that, you know, you can also just go to my website. It's sort of become now like a ceramics and a mindfulness and movement too, like sort of different portals, you could say, to my website, and then you can explore, you know, just some of the other offerings. But there's a little bit more about the clinical somatics there, and you are welcome to make contact with me in any way. And also you can join my mailing list for mindfulness and movement or ceramics. There are 2 mailing lists. If you're interested in that, I will still make ceramics. But if you want to hear about future offerings, then you can just, there's a pop-up form on the website, and you can just sign up, and then it won't be lots of emails, but just emails to say there's a workshop running, or I'm starting a series of classes, etc. So yeah, you can keep in touch with me that way as well. Elaine, thank you so much, and thank you everybody for being here. It's been truly amazing to start to share this work in the world, and you're one of the first groups, first crews. I said to the people that I ran the retreat with, I said, you are the little green tendrils of, because look, there's a lot of somatic work other than clinical somatics. So I mean, I'm certainly not, I don't, there's a lot of different ways of exploring this first person body, you know, body-based somatic work, but this clinical somatics, I didn't know anybody else doing it. So I said, you are the, you know, the little tendrils. So you also are little tendrils. If you're interested, then you can put out a shoot or tell someone else or whatever.
Oh, I'm pleased that we are part of that as well, that the beginning stages, you know, because this is stunning work. So Lise, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I'd love you to pop into the kitchen next year as well, and then keep us updated with what you're doing, and maybe do another sort of give us another few tips and tell us what you're up to. So thank you, everybody. So nice to have met you all. Thank you for joining. And please remember to come back next week, in 2 weeks' time, on the 2nd. So lots of love, everybody. Bye, Mart. Lekker to see you. Bye, Lise.
Thanks, Elaine. Thank you, Lisa.
Bye.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful.
Bye,
Thanks, Elaine.
pleasure, Lise. See you soon.
See you soon.